4,000 years ago, in the richest city the world had ever seen, two men were born on the very same street. They learned the same trade, they earned the same wages, and they worked the same long hours under the same hot sun. But by the end of their lives, one of them had become the richest man in all of Babylon. And the other reached old age still poor, still in debt, still begging for one more day of work. Same city, same trade, same money coming in. So what on earth happened in the gap between them? It wasn't luck, it wasn't a hidden inheritance, and it certainly wasn't a bigger paycheck. It was a handful of simple rules about money, written on a clay tablet that almost nobody bothered to follow. Rules so old they feel almost too simple to matter, and yet they still quietly decide who gets rich today. The man who learned them was named Arkad, and his story begins exactly where yours might be right now. Arkad was not born clever, and he was not born lucky. He was a humble scribe, carving words into clay for a living. He earned a fair wage, just like his friends, and just like his friends, he spent every single coin of it. Years passed, and his purse stayed as thin and empty as the day he started. So one day he went to the wealthiest lender in the city and asked him plainly, "How do I fill an empty purse?" The lender smiled and gave him an answer so obvious that Arkad almost laughed. And then it changed his entire life. From that single idea, Arkad built a fortune so large that even kings came to him for advice. And when they asked him to share his secret, he gave them not one rule, but a handful. Here is the very first. Rule 1. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. It sounds like nothing, but read it again, because almost everyone gets it backwards. Most people pay everyone else first, the landlord, the shops, the lenders, and they keep whatever sad scraps are left. Arkad flipped the order. The moment money arrived, he took 1/10 of it and set it aside before anything else. 1 coin in every 10. That was it. Pay yourself first and live on the other 9. And here is the strange part. After a few weeks, he could not even remember the coin was missing. His life felt exactly the same. But quietly, in the dark of a drawer, his purse had finally begun to grow. Most people wait until the end of the month to save whatever is left, and almost nothing is ever left. The trick is to take your share off the top, the instant the money lands, before your spending can swallow it. Today, we would call it an automatic transfer. Babylon just called it wisdom. That hidden 10th becomes the seed of everything else. Without it, none of the other rules can save you. So first, you keep a part for yourself, but keeping it is only the beginning. Next, you must learn to guard it. Rule 2. Control your spending and do not confuse your wants with your needs. When Arkad began to save, his friends noticed something curious. The more they all earned, the more they all spent. A bigger wage simply meant a bigger feast, finer robes, and a longer list of things they suddenly could not live without. Arkad realized a hard truth. What we call necessary expenses will always grow to swallow whatever we earn. Unless you draw a firm line, your desires will expand forever, no matter how much gold flows into your hands. So he studied his own spending honestly, and he sorted every coin into 2 simple piles. The things he truly needed to live, and the things he only wanted because everyone around him wanted them too. He did not stop enjoying his life. He simply chose his pleasures on purpose instead of by accident. A budget was never a cage to him. It was a tool that made sure his money served his real wishes, not passing whims. And by spending a little less than he earned, he protected that precious 10th he had promised himself. Most people defend their wants and neglect their needs. The wealthy quietly do the exact opposite. Now his purse was filling and his spending was under control. But idle gold is lazy gold. It was time to put it to work. Rule 3. Make your gold multiply so that it works for you while you sleep. A purse full of coins feels wonderful. But coins sitting in a drawer earn nothing and feed no one. Arkad understood that true wealth is not the gold in your hand. It is the river of income that flows in without your labor. So he lent his savings to a shield maker who needed bronze, and in return he earned a small share of the profits. Each coin he sent out came back with a few small children of its own, and those children soon had children too. This is the quiet miracle the wealthy build their lives upon. We call it compounding, and it is patient beyond belief. At first it is almost insultingly slow. A coin here, a coin there. You will wonder if it is working at all. But give it enough years, and that gentle trickle becomes a flood that can carry you for the rest of your life. The man who started saving at 20 laughs gently at the man who finally starts at 50. Not because he earned more, but because he simply gave his gold more time to multiply. Every coin, Arkad said, is a worker. Put it to work, and one day its wages alone will set you free. But sending your gold out into the world carries a danger, and ignoring that danger has ruined more men than poverty ever did. Rule 4. Guard your treasure from loss, for the first goal of money is never to be lost. Once Arkad had saved his first real pile of gold, he was eager to grow it quickly, and that hunger nearly cost him everything. A traveling brickmaker offered him rare jewels at an unbelievable price, promising to double his money in a single season. Arkad handed over his savings, and the jewels, of course, turned out to be worthless colored glass. He had trusted a man who knew nothing about jewels, about a subject he himself knew nothing about. A painful, perfect recipe for loss. From that bitter lesson, he made a rule. Never invest your gold in something you do not truly understand. And before risking a single coin, seek advice from those who have grown wealthy doing exactly that thing. Beware the promise of riches that come fast and easy, for that promise is the favorite bait of every swindler. The wealthy are not the boldest gamblers. They are the most careful guardians of what they already have. A small, safe return that you keep will always beat a dazzling fortune that vanishes overnight. Protect the seed first, Arkad taught, and only then allow yourself to dream of the harvest. He had learned to keep his gold, to budget it, to grow it, and to guard it. But one final rule held all the others together. Rule 5. Increase your ability to earn, for a sharper mind fills a fuller purse. There was once a young man in Babylon who complained that his wages were simply too small to ever save a thing. Arkad asked him a simple question. Have you become more skilled this year than you were the year before? Your wage, Arkad explained, is simply the price the world pays for what you are able to do. Become more useful, more skilled, more able to solve the problems others cannot, and your wage will rise to follow you. The young man took the advice. He learned to carve faster and finer until his bricks were the finest in the city. Soon people sought him out by name and gladly paid him more. His income rose, not by luck, but by becoming worth more. And the more he earned, the more he could keep, and the faster every other rule began to work in his favor. You are your own greatest investment. Sharpen yourself, and you sharpen every coin that passes through your hands. Keep apart, control your spending, grow your gold, guard it well, and grow yourself. 5 simple cures for an empty purse. By now you might be thinking these rules are obvious, and you would be completely right. That is exactly the problem. Everyone in Babylon heard Arkad's advice. Almost everyone nodded along, and almost no one actually did it. Because the rules are not hard to understand. They are only hard to repeat quietly for years when no one is watching. Knowing the way and walking the way are not the same thing. The fortune was always hidden in the boring repetition. Luck, Arkad liked to say, is what we call it when a prepared person finally meets their opportunity. And opportunity, he warned, is a proud visitor. She does not wait for the man who hesitates and delays. The two men from the start of our story heard the very same lessons on the very same day. One began that very evening with a single coin. The other promised himself he would start someday soon. 30 years later, that single evening was the only real difference between the richest man in Babylon and the poorest. So here is the secret that Babylon carved into clay 4,000 years ago. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. You do not need a higher wage to begin. You do not need to understand the markets. You only need to keep 1 coin in 10. Then control your spending, put your gold to work, guard it carefully, and never stop growing your own worth. The lesson was never really about ancient gold. It was about starting today, however small, and then never stopping. So before you close this video, decide on your 10th and promise to keep it. That single choice is where every fortune begins. If this gave you even one idea worth keeping, subscribe and stay for the next one. The richest man in Babylon was never special. He simply began.